Howdy guys, Tristan aka True Champ Static here, and today I am bringing you a deck profile from myself. This is the deck I played at the A-kon Regional in Texas this past weekend. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I placed 18th at this event. I believe most of like 14th through like maybe 20th or something like that were all 5-2s that kind of just came down to tiebreakers. So it was a little, a little crushing, but hey, that's why we play the game. That's why we keep playing through to the end, see if we can make it. So let's talk about matchups. So we played 7 rounds at this event. My round one was Imperial. Um, my opponent kind of got a little greedy here. Game one, his first stack, he swung once with Pile Dramon, and then immediately went up into fighter mode and swung and checked into a Happy Bullet showering. And then from there, it was pretty easy to take control of the game and finish it out. And then game two was kind of not really similar, but removal and security, good removal in hand. Beelstar Mon's getting cheap pretty quick. Um, round two, we played Mastamon. Game one, we super bricked. um, we couldn't really do much. We tried to do what we could, but our draws weren't great. Our opener wasn't great, and he got us game one. But we rallied back games two and three because I do believe that Mastamon is a fairly easy matchup for Beelstarmon. The turns where they have to, make big plays and slam, you can answer super easily with a cheap Beelstarmon or a removal spell, and then it kind of seems like they didn't really accomplish much. Uh, round three, we took our first loss. We played against Rapidmon. Um, this is a very close matchup, and I have some techs in the changes to the list to try that I think make it much better. Um, but in my experience, as long as you draw average to better, you should probably be fairly favored as long as your bill stars are getting pretty cheap. Round four, we played against Rapid. The deck went off. You know, bill stars were super cheap, super quick. I think we had a game where we nail boned 4 times in a turn. Um, utilizing Beelstar calling. It was pretty nuts. Round five, we played Rapid for the third time this event, but that's going to happen when the deck's super popular. And we did fall this time. I believe this was against Eagle X. And, game three, it was really close. I put him in a situation where he had to have 2 hybrids to get me after he used a few, and he had them. So, I was winning the next turn, if not. But that was a risk I took. So I understand that loss. Round six, we played X Antibody. Um, Game one was pretty easy. He kept running into security or removal security and kind of mistimed a few things. And then game two, his Alphamon with Yuji got Howling Crushered, and that was probably the best feeling of the tournament when the card, the one of, does its job. And then round seven, we played Imperial. It was kind of a weird matchup for both players. I ended up pretty much just rookie rushing him down. But hey, it was what we needed to get the 2-0. So, with the matchups out of the way, let's talk about the deck. So you're never not playing for Demi Marimon. Yeah, it's just the best purple egg, probably always will be at this point. And we're actually playing a 5th egg in Pagumon, mainly for the yellow matchup because it can get kind of grindy. And Pagumon just fulfills our game plan the best. Moving into the rookies, pretty standard lineup that I think you'll see. We're playing for Gabumon. It's the best to pair with Scatter Mode. Draw 6, discard 4 is exactly what this deck wants. Um, then this weekend I played 3 Elekmon just as a potential hedge for armor showing up. Um, growing up playing card games in Texas, um, they play a lot of aggro decks, so I thought I might see it. Um, then, 2 Impmon, it's great. Mills 3 progresses our game plan. And 2 Gazimon, just memory blocker, and then 1 Dracmon as a utility mon, just to bring back our callings or our death claws. Um, yeah, so that was our rookies. In terms of champions, the absolute standard package. We're playing 4 scatter mode. It's one of our best enablers. 2 promotes for the game-winning nail bones, and then 2 Vilemons. Vilemon is a card I've seen a lot of players cut down on, and I think it is absolutely essential to have this card at 2. It helps mitigate aggro matchups and keeps you alive, even if it just trades. The 1 life that it can trade for is absolutely crucial sometimes. And then at our top end, 4 Beelstarmon. Deck doesn't run without her. It's the only Musketeer we're playing, even though the deck's still called Three Musketeers. But she makes the deck go round, you know. Absolutely obscene card. The faster you get it to cost 3 or less, the easier the game is to win. For Tamers, we're playing 2 TK Takashi as our blue Tamer. That also sets our memory to 3. That way we can cast our blue options that we'll talk about in a minute. And then 2 Analog Youth, for more mill and, some card selection so that, if you go second and you don't have a rookie, you analog. Hey, maybe you find the rookie, maybe you don't, but you also milled cards. So it's accomplishing multiple things. As for our options, our 1 cost, we're playing 2 Deathclaw. Like I said, I was kind of hedging against maybe seeing armors. So this card might not have been as necessary as I thought it to be. But when you pair it with Elikmon against an armor, popping a Elikmon with a Deathclaw allows you to delete the level 4 since the option has to resolve first, and then Elikmon's effect will delete the rookie left behind by Armor Purge. So super clean answer to it. After that, we're playing 3 Calling. The late game, if your Beelstars are ever free and you just get to calling 2 of them back and cast them, it's nutty. But the card also has lots of other uses, allowing you to bring back rookies or an Eismon if you're, running it low on pressure. It just keeps your game plan up so much. The card is just so fantastic. It's borderline broken. Great card. Then 2, Miss Memory Boost. Again, more mill. Draw 2 cards, draw a card, or mill 2 cards, then draw a card. Pop it for 2 allows for some bigger plays earlier than you might need, but it is also, for this deck, kind of clunky and expensive, I will say. You can be a very aggressively slanted deck, so sometimes taking a turn off to play a 3-cost boost, especially if you don't have a memory setter, can be a real pain. So I think there's ways to set the deck up to play it very well, but at least the way I had this deck set up this weekend, it was an average card. I had times where I wanted to cast it, and I had times where it just sat in my hand and got discarded. Moving on to our 7 cost, the bread and butter of the deck. Our 1-ups, we played the 1-of Geralt Schwarmer, never leave home without it. The Masty matchup, game 3. The very second to last turn of the game, my opponent, I had 4 rookies on boards, including 2 Psychmon, and I had to, make the hard choice to play a full cost Beelstarmon to Geralt Schwarmer's board and hope he didn't have it. And hey, he didn't. So without this card, I actually would not have been able to win that matchup. So never leave home without this card. 1 Howling Crusher. This card seems a little preemptive for those of you that follow JP meta. They're, using it in BT9 to counter all these big, huge tower decks, but it actually has a lot of relevance in our current meta. Like I said, I won a game because an Alphamon stack swung into it first check. It's good against armor because it can let you, trade 1 for 1 with removal spells. It can be good against Imperial if they have a Pyodramon or a Chimeramon or a Dino Beamon that swings and hits it and they were planning on going to Dragon mode. They just can't, get any value out of it. So I think it's a really good 1-of in the deck. I've had situations where I was able to, strip the sources from under a Blackrock Greymon and they lose blocker so that I could just swing game. The card has a lot of more use the more you play it. Then 2 Happy Bullet Showering. There is a lot of symmetrical decks in this format. Lots of Mastamon ultimates have 6k DP. Every single Vmon is 2k. Stingmon and XVmon are both 4k. So this card actually comes up and deletes multiple Digimon quite a lot. It's also really good, if your opponent builds a single tower. Then Nailbone, it's the game-winning card. Get yourself a level 3 and a level 4. Just put so much pressure on your opponent, especially when you cast it for free and multiple times a turn. This is a card that, especially against yellow, if I can, I will actually hold off on discarding because with a memory setter, I don't mind setting them to 4, so that I just get extra value out of it. But if you need to discard it, obviously do so. Real quick, a note on this card though, one of the most powerful plays you can do against Yellow Rapid in this deck is bring back an Impmon and a Scatter Mode. It's so much advantage that they are potentially giving you by raising and going into Rapidmon, but they need to because it's 2 free checks. otherwise. So really powerful play against them. Then 4 Fly Bullet, cheap, easy removal. Just delete a level 6 to lower. It's super relevant this format. There's not a whole lot of level 7s running around, so it's fantastic. And then Cocytus Breath, for things like X Antibody, if they don't have a Breath of the Gods, or a Funimon Fall Downs. This is a really good hard counter since we don't get to play Chaos Degrade. So really great card there. So this was the list I played this weekend. I do have a few changes to kind of go over with you guys that at least I'm going to start with testing. So let's kind of talk about those. So this is the preemptive list I have going forward for the deck. Not a whole lot of difference, but there is some. Mainly 2 defeats. I actually needed to put these in before this tournament, but we got to Texas super late, and we were super hungry, so we went and got food, and I totally forgot to do it. Next thing we're at the event center, and I was like, oh, hey, my defeats are back at the hotel, so I can't really swap it in. So we lived without, but I really want them back in the deck. They do bring a lot of value, especially when you're casting a Beelstar for free, and then can go into a defeat. It gives you a lot of pressure against decks like yellow. Sometimes it just pops out of security and wins you a game. As for rookies, I'm dropping an Elecamon for a Dracomon. I think that both Imperial and Yellow being so popular will kind of reduce the amount of armor you'll see. So I think I'm going to hedge with that. If it ever starts popping back up the Elecamon, play the Deathclaw. Super easy. But I think I want to try Dracmon for a little more value with another card that I'll show you in a second. Champions remained unchanged. Beelstarmons, obviously. No changes to our 7 costs, but we are replacing the Death Claws with 2 copies of Darkness Wave. Now this is just a 1 cost mill 3, which is super efficient. It's a great play on turn 1 if you don't want to, if you have it and you don't want to hard slam something to put them to 3, 4, whatever it may be. And with Dracmon, it's a 1 cost so we can get it back. So if you ever have a Memory Tamer and your opponent doesn't, you have this awesome play of just, hey, Dracmon, get back Darkness Wave, mill 3, you're at 1. And you created some pressure on board, you milled some cards to potentially set yourself up. So I think this card is going to be really good. It does have the potential downside of milling us out in security, but I really do want to test it because I think it's going to be very good. And the last final change is I'm swapping out Analog Use for Digimon Emperor. I think both Tamers are fantastic, but this one can turn our removal spells into a +1 with a draw a card. And the other thing is it gives you a good advantage against yellow, where they will probably, unless they have, tons and tons and tons of, Cody's or TK Karis, or boosts, where they might not be able to rapid and keep their turn, which makes their play super inefficient. If all they get to do is rapidmon your little dudes, you are fine with that. So this is a card that I'm going to try out. I think it's going to be really good and could, just be like a really easy 1 or 2 card insert potential, not necessarily counter, but, numbers increaser versus yellow hybrid that you could see in a lot of decks. But I think it has a really good home here, so I'm really excited to try this card out. So those are all the changes I have for the deck right now. If y'all ever want to talk about it, obviously hit me up in the comments. I'll try to read those and keep up with those as much as I can. If you're in the Discord, feel free to tag me. I will answer any questions you have about the deck. I think this deck is super rewarding the longer you play it, and it really just, I don't know, I love it. It's my personal play style. I'll probably play the deck forever, to be honest with you. But it's a fantastic deck. I think it has really good matchups versus a whole lot of the meta, especially in the state we're in right now. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say on it, guys. So, and I think this is going to be our first YouTube video, so welcome to the channel. We hope, you'll, subscribe. I'm going to try to put out more content. Me and Sushi will be doing the Spice Cabinet every week to keep y'all updated on the meta. We're going to try to bring out some more stuff, so hang out with us, get some cool content. If you're ever there, come play in the tournaments. We got some awesome prizing coming down the line for y'all guys. And with that, I am going to be out of here. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.